This is Data Visualization 205N. This is the second video in week 7. I'm not going to call this a lecture. I'm going to call it a hands-on exercise or set of hands-on exercises because it's not a lecture. Hopefully, you will treat this as a active listening session, and you will not only listen or watch, but you will follow along in Tableau. So this is exclusively a Tableau session. And mostly this is about learning some additional tricks and techniques in Tableau that will make you a more effective Tableau user. So with that, I'm going to switch to Tableau. Now I've got two versions of Tableau running. I've got one that is, I'll call it my answer key, and I've got another that's a blank palette, and that's the one that I'll be working through, and that's one I hope that you will follow along with. And as I've mentioned many times before, I really recommend that you pause the video when you're not keeping up and get caught up. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff to see in this, and I think it's useful for you to learn how to do it. Okay, so this version of Tableau, I just opened it and I'm going to pick Superstore. So that's the sample data set that we're going to use. And when I pick Superstore, I get the data contents, which has orders and people and returns. We're actually only going to work with orders today. We're not going to work with people's or returns today. And we're going to eventually build a dashboard with some pretty interesting stuff in it, I think. A dashboard primarily about customer sales and profitability. Okay, so I'm going to go to my, one of the reasons I have this uh, answer key up is because I wanted to show you what we're trying for. You know, remember my motto, begin with the end in mind. So here's the first map that I'm going to, or as far as the first visualization I'm going to build. It's called a geoheat map. I'm calling it a heat map. And this actually shows two things. It's a little misleading. I'm not sure if I really want sales posted on the state, but here it is. So I've got the states. And the number posted on this is the dollar sales in the state. The color coding is actually not a heat map of the sales, it's the profit ratio. So not the sales, but the profit ratio. So for instance, in Texas, I have a lot of sales, $170,000 in sales, but I have a really low profit ratio. It's I can't tell exactly, but it's down in here somewhere. And in fact, if I hover over it, this tells me the profit ratio is negative 15.12%. So that says that if I just quit selling in Texas, I'd actually make the company money. So we want to fix that. We want to fix why we're doing poorly in Texas, for example. And so we're going to develop a dashboard around things like that. I'm just picking on Texas right now, but there are others. I'm not doing well in Colorado, 20% negative profitability. Whereas if I compare that to Montana, it's 32% positive profitability, but I only have $5,589 in sales. So you can tell from just from this one map, I can learn an awful lot about my sales performance by region. And so let's go build that. Okay, so I have a set of hints because I want to make sure I remember to do things. So we're going to go to the geo map and we're going to double click on state province. Let's see, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to double click on state province. So that's in location. Here's state province. I'm just going to double click it. And what I get is a geo map. Let's see, do I have this over far enough? Yeah. It's not quite what I want because this has actually got a data point in each location. It's got a series of things that I need to fix on it. Now, the first thing is that this is not quite the map that I wanted. It said automatic, but I actually don't want. So there's two kinds of geo maps. This one where you see I'm not sure what this means, the recommended, and this one where it's filled regions. This is actually the filled regions is what I want. So now I've got filled regions and I'm making a start. So one thing I want to do is I don't want Canada. I only want to see the United States here. So in order to do that, you have learned how to do this. I'm going to pick country region. I'm going to post it up here and I'm going to exclude Canada and say, okay. Okay, now I'm just seeing the United States. I'm going to disappear my show me map. Let me go back to my key. Uh, I'm going to take the profit ratio. I'm going to drag it to the marks card, and I'm going to let's see. I already did that. Okay, so I'm going to drag the profit ratio. So let's find the profit ratio down here. Uh, it's a measure. Profit ratio to the marks card. Actually, it didn't say where, did it? Let's go look. Color. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So I want this colored by the profit ratio. So I'm going to drag it to the color, and you notice it automatically developed this color. So this is very similar to the map, excuse me, that I was looking at earlier. I'm going to next, and you should be following along. I'm going to drag region to filters and select all. So I want this regionalized, and you'll see later why I want to do that. So I'm going to go region to filters, and I'm going to select all. I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to show all the regions. Now, one other thing I want to do is I want to see that filter, and this will become abundantly clear later on show the filter. And so you can see what happens is that if I take, for instance, just the central region, then I see just the states in what Superstore has defined as the central region, or if I took the east and the central, or so on and so forth. So I'm starting to make some good progress here. Let's go back to all. Okay, and so a little different here. So what I'm this heat map, sorry, this gradient coloring is the profitability, the profit ratio. But what I'm going to post on this is the actual sales. And so you know how to do that too. You might not think about it right now. So I'm going to take sales and I'm going to drag that up to the label on the marks card. So now I've posted the sales in the state. So I've got the profitability is the color coding and the sales is the number that I see posted here. Okay, now we're going to do something else that I think is pretty cool. So when I'm on the heat map, I'm sorry, when I'm on the geo map, one of the things I do is I hover over a particular state. I'll pick on Texas again. You see what I get is I get this listing of cities and the profit ratio of the individual cities. So I get a list of cities in Texas and I get their profit ratio. So I can see that Abilene is really low. In fact, it's so low I can't see the scale of it. Mesquite is 168% negative profit margin, so on down to Bryan, which is still negative 34% profit margin. Now we probably made very few sales in those cities, but still the profit margin is really low here. So we should pay attention to that. If I shift over to Missouri, you can see that at Kirkwood, I have a 19.5% positive profit margin, or Springfield, I have a 25.9% profit margin. So we'd like to get that hover action onto the map. And the way I do that is I create a new sheet. So you want to create a new, oh, actually, let's name this one. This is called Geo Heat Map. Sorry, it's not. Yeah, that's okay. Geo, you want to name these descriptively because for two reasons. When you build your dashboard, that's what's going to show up on your dashboard. And so you can remember what they have in them. I'm going to create a new worksheet, and this one's going to be called, might not be obvious right now, but it's going to be called Tooltip Profit Ratio by City. So maybe that gives you a hint of what we're doing here. We're going to build a new sheet that's called Tooltip Profit Ratio by City. And the way I do that is in the columns, I want the profit ratio. And in the rows, I want city. Okay, so you can see I'm starting to get what I want. Here's the profit ratio. It's going from negative 2.8 to 0 to zero point 0.6. And here's a whole list of cities. Okay, that's kind of what I want. But what I really want to do is I want to color these. So I'm going to take the profit ratio again, and I'm going to post it on the color. So I want the color to be a function of the profit ratio. And I'm going to select a better color scheme for this. So rather than saying automatic, which Tableau just chooses primary colors when you do that primarily. Um, so instead, I'm going to look for something like maybe red-green diverging. So it's red when it's negative, it's green when it's positive, and it's white in the middle. And what I'd really like to do, I'd like this to be evenly spaced. So let's go to advanced, and I want this to start at, let's say, negative 1.5. Oops. And then let's go to the end at 1.5. So what happens when I do that is that I end up with a scale that is evenly distributed, and the center is in the center here. So I say, okay, so I get a profit ratio where white is 0, anything in the green shade is positive, anything in the red shade is negative. Okay, I'm really close now. The only thing I think I want to do, oh, what I'd like to do is get these labeled. So I'd like to get the number on these also. You know how to do that too. Take the profit ratio, post it on label, and you notice I've got this is 2.700, this is negative 0.68. And so then let's see, I think let's change these to percentages. So this is profit ratio. Sorry, yeah, this is the profit ratio. And I'd like to I'd like to format that. And I'd like to see that as a percent rather than a number. So we'll put percentage and we'll leave it at uh, 2 places. Let's do 1 place. Okay. So Abilene is not doing well, negative 270%. Now, I can't see from this how much sales Abilene had, but I can see that the profit ratio in Abilene was pretty bad. So the final thing I would do, I want to sort this. You should remember how to sort this. It's this little icon right above. And I'd like this sorted, right now it's sorted descending. I'd like it sorted, I'm sorry, yeah, it's sorted, I'd like it sorted ascending. So the smallest one is on top, which is Abilene, and a bunch of cities in Texas, as it turns out. And then if I keep going down, I get to the zeros, and then I get to the positives. Okay, I got my profit ratio by city. I've got all the posting on that. Now, here comes the magic. I go to GeoHeatMap, and I say on Tooltip, I select Tooltip. Now this is the text. Actually, let's go back here and look at this for a minute. This is the text that's showing up on my tooltip right now. It tells me it's the country, the state, the sales, and the profit ratio. That's not quite what I'd like in this. First of all, I know it's the country because I can see it. So I'm going to edit this tooltip. And I'll have to do that. All I have to do, for instance, to take out the country region, which I don't want, is I blank those out. And I say state province, although we're only states here. If we were in Canada, we might be provinces, but we're only states here. In fact, I don't really need this label called state because I know when I see the name, I'll know what it is. State, province, and probably what I really want to do is something like state ratio. And then I'm going to put this guy up there, that right here. And I'm going to italicize this state profit ratio. And I could put sales in there. That would be a nice thing to put. And I could take this off, take this label off. Okay, so when I say okay now, you see, actually sales is irrelevant because I've got sales already posted on the state. So let's go edit that again. Tooltip. Take the sum of sales off because I've already got it posted on the state. All right, right now, all I have in the tooltip is the state and the state profit ratio. Uh, so I want to get that, I want to get this into that tooltip, but I want to select the cities by the ones that are in that state. And it's really just as simple. In tooltip, I say, go to this new line and I say insert and I say a sheet. And the sheet name I want is, oops, sorry, insert sheet name. This should be a pick list. It should be giving me a pick list of sheet names. Well, I can do it this way. I know what it is, right? It's this guy. Oops. Okay. So right now it just says, oh, that's this sheet's name. That's not what I want. Go back here to tooltip. Take this out. That was the name of this sheet. That's not the one I want. Let's insert uh, sheets. I kept going by it. Okay, so the only other sheet besides this one I'm on is this tooltip. I'm going to pick that, and it's going to post that in. And when I say OK, so I get those as if by magic. So I see the cities that are in the database, and I see their profit ratios. Okay, let me go back to my answer key, make sure there's not anything else we need to do in this particular sheet while we're here. Okay, okay. You produced this first one called GeoHeatMap. Let's go to the second one, which is about formatting items. Yeah, so we already did this. We formatted the profit ratio as a percent rather than as a number, so we already did this. I'm going to have to look at this to see what color items is because it's spilled off the end of this. We already did that too. Okay, so we don't have to do those. All right, so let's move on to the next topic, and this is about filters. And we did this too. We drug this subcategory to filters already because we have the region. So we did that too. So I did a bunch of steps all at once there. So now I have the region. I can filter by the region, which will become evidence why I want to do that later. But right now, you can see if I take central out, I get all the states except central, exactly like that. Okay. Okay. New sheet, which we're going to call bar chart. And this is one that's not going to end up in our dashboard, but I wanted to demonstrate a couple things in a bar chart. So you want to go create a new sheet, and we're calling it bar chart. Let's go take a look at what we want to do. Here's the bar chart. Okay, so we want by category, we want a bar chart of sales. So it's sales so the region, uh, central, east, south, west, and by category, furniture, office supplies, and technology. So how would we go about building that? Well, let's go do it. So I can see that I've got region in the columns, and I've got category in the rows, and I've also got sum of sales in the rows. So if I just do that, right, I go over here and I take region in the column. I take category in the rows and sum of sales in the rows. Category in the rows. That's under product here. Category in the rows. Now I just have a table, but I really want a visualization. And so what I want is sales. Put sales here. I think I might have completed this chart. Let's see. So it's that simple to create a bar chart. it looks like what I got. Let's just go look at my storyline. Oh, so um, a couple things I want to add to that. I want to show the captions, and I want to change this to a stack bar. So let's go back to our bar chart. I want to change this to a bar chart. So right now I've got um, I've got individual bars. Let's say, for instance, that I really wanted this to be a stacked bar chart. Well, one easy way to do it is to show me. That's a little risky because it can change the format of that. Instead, what I could do is say bar over here, but let's go ahead and let show me do it. Okay, now I've got a stacked bar chart. The region is here, and east, center, and so on and forth, and sales is here, and it's a stack bar. So it's really that simple to convert from a stack bar to a side-by-side bar or a um, this is just the bar chart we saw earlier turned on its side, and you know how to change that back. You just do this. Okay. Let's see. Did we get any color in that? Let's go look at this again. We didn't have color in this. I think I'd like these. I'd like the regions colored so I could make them more distinct. So all I have to do, take region, drag it onto the color, and now I've got the regions colored blue for central, orange for east, red for south, and light green for west. So hopefully you're picking up some, quick tips on how to do things fast in Tableau. Okay, new sheet called tree map. Disappear this show me dialog, tree map. And let's go take a look at what we want to produce. We want to produce a tree map. Looks like this. So you can lay these out in various ways, which I'll show you the different ways you do it. But in this case, I've got technology all in this first block. I've got furniture in the second block, and I've got office supplies in the third. And then within that, I have east, west, central, and south. And these are uh, uh, sorted by biggest to smallest, and then they're highlighted by this sum of sales. So sum of sales is yellow if it's not so good, and green if it's very good. So that's what we're trying for. And the way I'd go about doing that is I would select region, category, and sales, show me tree map. It's that simple. Region, category, oops, not that way. Region, category, and sales, show me, and this thing that looks like a tree map. Okay, we're there. We have a slightly different color than what I showed you, but I've got that. Let's see what else this is suggesting to do differently here. Um, okay, I'd like the sales amount labeled, and then I'd like region and category on the marks card, and I'll show you why I want to do that. So right now I just have so I'm leaving it to the user to decide the relative size of these. That's really not desirable. And so what I'd like to do is put sales on the label so that I get the actual sales. So now I know, for instance, in technology, the East sold $267,000 and the West sold 252, and just like that. Uh, let's see. The other thing, oh yeah. So uh, pay careful attention here. You should try this yourself. So you notice that I have right now, this is arranged by technology, sorry, by category and then by region. So all I'm going to do, see where category comes first and region comes next. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take region and put it above category. Well, I took it off. Let me do this region. I'm going to put it above category right there. So now I have all the West all the east, all the central, all the south. So I have four, quadrants here, if you call them, four di distinct areas that are region first and then category. And so it's that simple to change around heat maps, tree maps. Okay, on to the next one. So if you're keeping up, you're doing great. Let's develop some KPIs. And what we're going to do first is we're going to create a calculated field. Now, you might or might not have created a calculated field. This is a very useful thing to know. So I'm going to just copy this and show you a couple of techniques on this. So I'm going to create a new calculated field. Let me go to my sheet. Calculated fields would apply to any sheets. So I'm going to go to Analysis, and I'm going to create calculated field. And I forgot what this is called. Let me delete that for a minute. What this is supposed to be called? This is supposed to be called profit per order. Okay, so Analysis, create calculated field, profit per order. It's really tempting to call this calculation one, calculation two. That's a mistake because the more of these you create, you forget what in the world you were doing in them. So make these names descriptive. So here's the calculation that I'm putting in. Sum of the profits divided by the count of the order IDs. Now this count D means count distinct. So count the distinct order IDs and divide it into profits. And so that's going to give me a profit per order. Now, a couple things I want to show you. You notice I pasted this from my answer key. If I was typing, for example, and I left out this paren, let me go back here a minute. There's a subtle thing that's going on. So you see this, the calculation is valid. So Tableau is telling me that it can calculate this and it's happy with it. If I take this off, it's telling me it's not happy with it. The calculation contains errors. And a really important thing, it's kind of a subtle thing. This down arrow gives you the error indication. And Tableau is really good at telling you what's wrong. I've seen a lot of parsers of things, and Tableau is one of the best at doing this. So this says expected closing parentheses or comma while parsing the argument list for count D. Okay, so I'm going to put it right here. Whoops. It still contains errors because I didn't get it right here, and it says it's valid. So look at this. It would actually let you save an invalid calculation, but you couldn't use it anywhere. So always look at this. Make sure it says the calculation is valid. If it's not valid, pick that pull down arrow, and it'll give you one or several items that it found in error in this, and they're usually quite descriptive about what's wrong. Okay, so I've defined this new thing called profit per order. Let me go back. I want to create another one called sales per customer, and here's the equation for it. Sum of sales by the count D of the customer name. Let's go calculate that, and then we'll talk about what that is. Analysis, create calculated field. Uh, I was talking so much I forgot what this is called. This is sales per customer. Okay. Analysis, create calculated field, sales per. And the equation looks like this. And once again, it says it's valid. You know, if I, for instance, I left maybe this divide by sign off, I'd get this contains errors. It says a syntax error. Give me really specific information. Syntax error, maybe you're missing an operand. Well, I actually am. So that was pretty informative, and Tableau is really good this way, I think. Okay, that calculation is valid. I'll say okay. And now I have a new thing. I created earlier the profit per order. Now I'm calculating what's calculation one. Let's just look at that. That might have been what I just created. No, that's not anything. Oh, I know what that is. That's the one that got created when I was when I quit earlier. Okay, so I've got profit per order and I've got sales per customer. Um, let's see. So I created those calculated fields. I want to drag all the measure names to the canvas. So this is a shortcut that I showed the previous time we did one of these. So I want to create a new sheet. See, did it tell me to do that? Oh yeah. I want to create a new sheet called KPIs. Remember KPIs, key performance indicators. There's my KPIs, and it says drag all the measure values. I think it said measure names, but measure values here. Okay, so a weird thing happens. First of all, this visualization isn't working very well, but this has got a whole lot more than what I want. So what I want, let's go back to, I didn't show you this. Let's go back to this and see what we want in our KPIs. So the only thing we want in our KPIs is sales, profit ratio, profit per order, discount, and quantity sales per customer. So I got a lot of things in here. I got all of what I want, but I got some other stuff, like count of orders. I don't really want count of orders. I'm going to drag that off. I don't want count of people. I don't want count of returns. I do want discount, profit ratio, profit per order. I don't think I want quantity. Let's just go look. No, I want, what is this quantity? I do want quantity. I want quantity. I want sales, and I want sales per customer. So I've got kind of all the things that I want in this, and you see them right here. Not quite what I want. So I really want the name. Sorry, I want the. So these are the values, but I really want the names in here too. So I'm going to include the names. This is measure names, and I'm going to put that right above. Actually, it's already here. Let me go back up. I want measure names above measure values right there. Let's get measure names again. Put it right here. Uh, and put measure values below that. Still want measure names on there, so maybe I have to label all these. So we're going to take measure names and we're going to put those on text. There we go. Not quite right. I want the values below the names. I want it like that. Okay. So I've got the names and I've got the values. Now you notice in this example, didn't mean to go to there. These are great big. So let's make them bigger. These are BANs. And so let's make them bigger. So you know how to do this. Select it, say format, sorry, format, come over here and for this whole worksheet, let's make everything say 12 point bold and make it pure black. Okay, so that's probably a pretty good start. I might want to end up making this bigger when I put that on my dashboard, but that's a pretty good start. Now this is almost right. The problem is with the profit ratio. So you notice the profit ratio is it's drawing all of these as integers basically, as decimals, and the profit ratio isn't, it's a percent. So I'd like to change just the profit ratio. Now if I went in here and I said, and I chose number for these, I'd get all of these as percents. That's not what I want. So I want to somehow get just the profit ratio shown as a percentage. I can do that. I go down here and I find profit ratio, which is this one, and I say format. Now, when I say format on that one, I'm going to format just the profit ratio, just this thing. And the format I want is a percent. And let's go down to one place. Okay, so now I've got the profit ratio. I've got all the other, I've got the profit per order is $57. The quantity is 38,654, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, let's go back, see what else we need to do to this. We're good. Okay, let's look at sales by state geo. So we're not going to use this in the dashboard, but this is a variant on that earlier chart. Let's go ahead and do it. We're not going to use this in the dashboard. Let's go ahead and do it. So this is sales by state geo. Create a new sheet called sales by state geo. And what I want on this is, excuse me, what I want on this, let's see, let's make sure I'm doing, yeah. So you want to do this. Select the state, province, maps, filter, Canada, drag region onto colors. Then drag sales onto labels, reformat the labels to bigger and bolder, drag regions to filter and show filter. So that's what you want to do. See if you can stop the video and do that. I'll go ahead and proceed with that. So I'm going to say state, region, profit. State, province, maps. Actually, I'm just going to faster. I'm going to have show me do that. Okay, there's a map. Remember, I don't want Canada, and I'd like these colored by region. So I'm going to take the region. I'm going to post that on the colors card, and I'm going to take Canada out. Remember how to do that? Yeah, I'm going to take country region, put it up here in filters, and take Canada out. Okay. And I almost got everything except that I wanted the sales posted on the state. So I see the state names in here, it's sort of grayed in the background, but I'd like the sales posted on the state. You know how to do that too. Take sales, post it on the label, and I get sales on the label. Now, these a lot of times you like to make these bigger. So maybe I want sales bigger. So I'm going to say format that. And let's make let's make them 12 bold. Okay. All right. Let's see. And we could filter that by region. We've already done that in the other one, so I'm not going to do that here. Okay, now I'm going to do a new sheet called sales versus profit. Just want to look ahead for 1 minute. Yeah. Sales versus profit. So this is actually going to be a scatter plot. Let's take a look at what it is. Sales versus profit by customer. So each one of these dots represents a customer. It's got profit twice on the tooltip, but each one of these dots represents a customer, and I can see that some customers are profitable, some are not, and the different colors are the central, the east, the south, and the west, where that customer is located. So this is a scatter diagram of all the customers I have in my database, uh, and the profit here is zero, so anything below that is negative profitability. This is sales across here. Anything above that is positive profitability. And so you might ask yourself, why does this go like this? Well, I can't have more profitability than the total sales. So this horizontal line says that's the extent of how much profitability I can. I can't have more profitability than I have sales. Likewise, I can't have more negative profitability than the sales. So that's why this is looks sort of weird, but it makes sense when you think about it. Okay, how do we go about that? Well, let's so take sales and put it on columns, take profit on rows, and select a dimension for each. And you might get a scatter plot right away. I'm not sure. Let's see, this is called sales versus profit. So we need a new sheet, sales versus profit. And we're taking sales Up here, we're taking profit right there. And we might have gotten what we want. It doesn't look like it right now, but that's because probably, I think, because um, we don't have that filled. Okay, so I don't have that quite right. Let's see what else I need to do here. Oh, I have to select all those for dimensions. So the problem right now is that these are measures. I actually want those to be dimensions. I want both of those to be dimensions. So when I make them both dimensions, I get a scatter plot. Now I could go like this and well, actually I don't have a scatter plot choice here, so I couldn't do that here. Um, okay. Oh, and I like these dots colored by region, and I already made them a solid circle. So I'd like the dots colored by region. Think about how you would do that. It's very straightforward. You take the region, you drag it onto the color, and now take this away, I've got my regions, and I've got the dots colored by the region that the customer resides in. Okay, I'm going to skip this step in this tutorial or in this hands-on. You should learn how to modify titles, legends, tick marks, all that sort of stuff. You can explore in Tableau and learn how to do that. I'm not going to do that in this hands-on. All right, let's have a new sheet called top and bottom. We're not going to use this chart, but we're going to use one like it in the dashboard. So top and bottom, let's go take a look at that. Looks like this. So I've got sales on the lower chart. That's why it's top and bottom. I've got profit on the top part, and I got sales on the bottom part. So I've got a faceted grid here where I've got furniture in the I get different categories, furniture, office supplies, and technology. So I've got it by categories, and then I've got sales and profit. So how would I go about that? Uh, well, you can actually, I think you can read exactly what happens just from seeing this. We put category and year of order date on the columns. Let's go do these one at a time. Put category and year of order date. Well, it's the order date, and then we're going to restrict that down to year of. And looks like I'm really close now already. Then I go over to my chart again, and I've got sum of profit and sum of sales on the rows. Sum of profit, so that's just profit. It's going to sum those automatically. So sum of profit and the sum of sales, it's going to sum those automatically. Whoops. Okay, I'm really close. Now, by default, Tableau is going to draw these the way it thinks it should, and generally it's going to draw the charts the same way. That's not quite what I want. So you notice what happened over here on the marks card? I have three marks. I have one for all, so anything I do in this section is going to apply to all the charts. But I also have one individually for profit and another one individually for sales. So I want the profit to be lines. Let's go back to let's just look at this for a minute. I want the profit to be lines, but I want the sales to be bars because they're meaning different things. And so I want them to be represented with different kinds of charts. So I'm going to go to sum of sales, and instead of saying, Tableau, please do this automatically, draw me a bar chart here instead. So you notice it's that simple to make this into a over-under. Now, I think we go look at this. Yeah, we've got profit shown in green and we've got sales shown in blue. Let's do that. How do you think you would change this color? Well, you'd go to this guy, right? Because this is the chart that we're talking about. And you'd say color. Sorry, you would say, sorry, profit. You would say color. Oh, yeah. And you'd say make that green. I expected a different dialogue there. Uh, uh, okay. Okay, so that's one way of representing this. Now, the good news is this is very clear. This shows me how I'm doing profitability wise, how I'm doing sales wise. The bad news is it takes up a lot of real estate, and so I want to build a more condensed version of this for inclusion in my dashboard. In fact, let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a chart like this. So I'm going to do this is a dual axis chart where I've got sales here and I've got profit here. Now I have advised against doing this generally because these are hard to keep track of, but this is not a bad use of it, my opinion. So I've got what the sales are, and then this red line is the profitability for each of the categories: furniture, office supplies, and technology. So how would I go about pulling that off? Well, you can actually see it up here. So I've got category and year of order date on the column shelf. So let's go create this new one called sales and profit. So I've got category and order date here, and that's doing it correctly. I want it by year. And then I've got on the rows, I've got sales and I've got profit once again. Actually, yeah, let's see. I think that Show Me will let me do that. So I'm building this similar to the way I did it before. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's have Show Me do it. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take that off. Let's have Show Me do this. So we're going to leave the region out for right now. We're going to take order date. We're going to take uh, order date, sales, and profit. We're going to say Show Me, and we're going to pick this chart, which is a dual axis chart. They call it a dual combination. Okay, so I'm kind of close. Now the first thing is that this is accumulating all the years together. That's not what I want. So I actually want this year where they're distinct, 21, 22, 20. Okay. Then the other thing I want is I want category. So I want three of these by category. And so I'm going to take category and I'm going to post it right here because I want this. I want to go category, then year. If I do it the other way around, Tableau makes some decisions about what kind of graph I'm going to get, which wasn't desirable. Uh, I could go change that, but this is actually the way I wanted it. So I've got the profitability. Actually, I have this reversed now because I have profitability on top. I don't want that. I want sales here. I want profitability on the other side. So I'm just going to drag this over to this side. And now I've got sales here. So this is sales. And this profit is over here. Okay. And it looks like furniture is pretty profitable. Office supplies, technology. Let's see, do I have everything? Let me just look at this real quick. Uh, oh, actually, this is the raw profit. Let's do profit margin instead. Let's actually just go back here for a minute. This is, let's see this for a minute. Measure sum continuous. That is a measure sum continuous. That's what I want. Not exactly sure why these are not showing up the same, but this is showing the right thing. This is profit dollars and this is sales dollars. Okay, so I got this chart, which I'm going to use in my dashboard because I like this because it's a more compact format. So in about the same screen real estate, I can show both the sales and the profitability in one chart. And I like that even though it's a dual axis, which I'm not really keen on. So we got everything to build our dashboard. So here's the dashboard we're trying for. Okay, so we're going to use some automatic stuff and some not so automatic stuff to build this. Okay, so you notice the first thing is I have my KPIs across the top. So let's go build a dashboard. That's uh, this icon, new dashboard. And you notice what it gives me is all the different worksheets that I've got in this project. So the first thing I want to do is the KPIs, and I want to put that right here. There they are. Let's go back and look. I'd like the geo heat map next down here. So let's go find the geo heat map. I want to put that right here. Not like that though. Let's uh, let's let's do this again. One thing about building dashboards is once you put something in a dashboard, it's hard to make a lot of moves to it. You can, but it's hard to make a lot of moves to it. So I'm going to do this again. Put the KPIs here first. Then let's see. Then I want my geo heat map. Right, oh, there we go. I want that below the KPIs. I'm going to do something special with these. Let's leave them there for a minute. Let's go back to my, okay, so I'd like my scatter diagram of sales versus profit by customer below that. Sales versus, I didn't quite write the whole thing. Want that right there. So I've got my geo heat map, I've got sales versus profit. I've got this guy going. And then finally over here on the right, I want this sales and profit. I think that was called. Want that like right here. So it doesn't look much like what I want, but it actually is. Okay, so the first thing is that I want this smaller. Second thing is that this I really want to post on top of this map somehow. And the way I do that is I say float that, make that floating, and when it's floating, I can grab this bar right here. Oops. I can grab this bar, made it too small now. And I can post it maybe right here. That's a little too big now. Okay, so that's showing me that what the color coding means on this map. Uh, I don't really need this. So let's take that away. Uh, Remove. I do want this. And once again, I want this floating also. So I'm going to float that because I want the user to be able to pick the region. So maybe I'm going to put that right here. Okay, now I'm getting pretty close. I'd like this wider. So I'd like to see that. And I'd also like this to go all the way across. I'm not sure how to do that. Let's see if I can. Now, it's very tempting to want to float this. That's probably not, in general, once you float things, if you're letting Tableau make your decisions about the geometry, then let it make them. You can use floating things for like these little things that you want floating around. Once you start floating, you probably have to float everything. And then you have to draw the geometries of each of those, which you can do. It's just more work, my experience. I don't need this. So I'm going to remove that from the dashboard. I do want this to be not so tall, and I want this to be wider. Let's see, can I do this? That compresses that down like that. Not exactly what I want. So let's do this. So I'm going to take this out. So this is one of these times when I got almost what I want, but not quite. And I'm going to let Tableau go ahead and continue to. Uh, oh, I know what's wrong. We didn't do one thing on the KPIs. Oh, we did do that. So we made those horizontal, which is what I wanted. So let's go to the dashboard again. Uh, and we're not seeing these horizontal. So let's try flipping them, which I can't do here. Let's take these out and put it back in. Tableau made a bunch of decisions that kind of were sticky, and I didn't like where I got. So I'm going to put this back in. I'm still getting these not laid out horizontally. Okay, let me do one thing here real quick. Okay, so this is not, for some reason, Tableau has decided to redraw this. Let's see, I made it a little bit bigger to make that work right, but has decided to redraw this. If I go to my original KPIs, well, they're not quite nicely formatted, but let me press it down. So this is kind of the way I want it. I have a little bit of I have quite a bit of automatic stuff going on, but I want this horizontal, not vertical. So if I go to the dashboard, you notice I'm not getting that when I post that up there. And the way you fix that is I believe it's here. Yeah, you use the fit menu. And what I want is fit the width. So I want it to fit the width here. Okay, so now we're looking better. Now, the other thing I want to add to this, so I've got my little indicator of profit ratio. I've got my floating indicator of region. I've got my scatter diagram of sales and profitability. The other thing I want is this sales and profit map in here. So let's go into my dashboard again. And I want sales and profit. And I'd like that right here on the right-hand side. Okay, now I don't really need this guy. So let's take that away. Remove. And I don't really need this thing so tall. Let's see if I can drag that down. I need this thing wider. Somehow I need this thing. Need this out here. Let's try this again. First thing is pull this up here. And then I only want this down in this part. So let's see if I can do that. Sales right there. That would be a start. Okay, so I don't need this guy. So you notice what happens is that when you start editing a dashboard, you kind of play it by ear. Now you can float all of these. You could float all of these values, and you could do a very careful geographic arrangement of how things laid out. I'm not doing that today. I'm letting Excel take care of this. Now I want to move this guy over a little bit. Whoops. Remember we floated this one, so I can do that. I can't do that with most things, but I can do that with this little widget. And I want to show you what happens. So actually I have to do probably one thing, which is go all the way back to GeoHeatMap. This is where that original select is for the region. And I want to do one thing with this. I want to make sure that this applies to all worksheets. Right now, this is only applying to this worksheet. So if I pick, for instance, central, I get central highlight, but none of these other graphs are changing when I do that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to see all these graphs changing when I do that. And so the way to do that is to come over here to the GeoHeatMap. And in this guy right here, in this selection, I want to say apply to worksheets. And I want to say to all using this data source. All right, now when I go to dashboard, and you notice, actually watch what happens to uh, this guy, the sales and profit, when I select central and east. So you notice that these change. So all of these graphs are redrawing as I select areas. So I can see, for example, um, profitability wise, this is still reversed. I have profitability as bars and I have sales as a line chart. So let's go back here. Let's fix that up. Sales versus profit. Whoops, this guy. So this is still the reverse of what I want. I want the profit to be a line chart, and I want the sales to be a bar chart. Now, what's happened is that Tableau has continuously made changes to these, which I didn't want, but it did it anyway. So that's just something you just learn to live with. And I'm going to make the sales blue, make sales blue, and I'm going to make profit. Let's make that green. This sort of, maybe this, yeah, let's make that green and we'll apply that. Actually, let's make that red so it's easier to see. To profit, let's make that red and apply that so it's easier to see. Okay. Say okay. Okay, now this makes, let's go to the dashboard. So you see what's happening when I pick a particular, if I look at everything, if I look at our business across the board, excuse me, furniture is kind of marginally profitable, office supplies very profitable, technology very profitable. This is profit in dollars K. However, if I look at just the central region, I see that in fact I'm unprofitable in the entire central region in furniture. I am profitable in office supplies and technology, but I'm not in furniture at all. And this is the kind of analysis that this provides for. So I can see immediately where the central region is. I can see where, what states are, obviously, what the sales in the various states are. And I can see the cities within the states through this tooltip that we put together. So this is changing also. So right now all I have is central. If I select central and east, I get central and east. And let's see, I took the color coding off of that, so I'd want to put that back on so I knew what those dots meant. So you can edit this to make this better. I've spent some time, which I'm not going to do in this video, in making this, kind of exactly the way I want it. So I got the sales and profitability here. I'm able to select, this is hard to see. I really should put a white background on this. Maybe I want to take east out because I know east is doing pretty well, and south out because really I'm interested in these guys. This map isn't redrawing right now, so I'd need to fix that. But you can see what, oh, and by the way, these KPIs are changing. So when I have just central, let's deselect that one. When I have just central selected, I can see that the sales are 503, the profit is 39, the profit ratio is 7.92. So these are changing too as I make changes to this dashboard. So that key that I did where I went over here and I said to this selection, I said apply to worksheets, and I said all using this data source. That's a really powerful thing. So it says across all the data sheets, uh, use that filter. And then when I look at the dashboard, a change I make in one spot changes all of the visualizations. Okay, so that is the extent of our Tableau hands-on for today. And this is the last lecture in the course. So I want to thank you all for your time and attention in this course. I hope that you learned something. We've covered a lot of ground. It may not seem like it now, but we've covered really a lot of ground. You learned about all kinds of different graphs that you can produce and when they're appropriate and when they're not. We learned a lot about we how we accept visual stimuli, visual information, and then how we process that in our brain. We learned about pre-attentive attributes that we can use to kind of shortcut information into our brain. We learned about storytelling, uh, and we learned a lot of technique in both Excel and Tableau. So I hope that this course has been useful to you. One comment on Tableau. I think that putting Tableau on your resume is definitely will work to your advantage. Like putting Excel on your resume isn't, Excel is pretty much it's accepted that people know how to use Excel. It's not accepted that people know how to use Tableau, and I see a lot of Tableau in job listings. Now, you don't want to put down that you're an expert in Tableau because then you'll get in an interview situation where they'll ask you expert questions, and hopefully what you've developed a sensitivity for is how elaborate Tableau can be. So it's pretty simple to get visualizations up and running, but to do really elaborate things, which you can do in Tableau, takes a lot more skill and experience and just hands-on working with Tableau. that I wouldn't warn you away from putting it on your resume, but I'd say I'm Tableau familiar, or I'd say, I've used Tableau, and that will go a long ways. It usually carries some weight in a resume. Good luck in your future pursuits, and I hope to see you again in another course. Bye now.